I mean, this is a system me and you and the team have developed for literally 10 years. And I think back in the day, we mainly did focus on strength and conditioning, but as things have developed now, we have two programs in the gym. We have Dominate, which focuses on strength and conditioning, and we have Underground, which focuses on fitness and conditioning.
It's called periodization, basically. We'll periodize a program throughout the course of a year to achieve basically a stimulus of specific compound lifts to be able to get the best out of a client, but in a way that they can do year after year without boredom. I'd rather see someone more frequently than once a week. Right, why don't we create a facility that costs way too much but allows us to train people well structured? And we ended up with 4 leg presses, 4 bench presses, 4 cable basically. Yeah, 4 of everything, but it meant that we could train on just 2 exercises, 16 people, for example. Kev, so I thought it would be good to have a chat about how we actually train our clients in the gym, because I think a lot of people are sort of, what are they actually going to expect when they come here? So it's always a question that I get when clients sort of contact us, via email or by phone. I'm having a conversation, and it's quite hard for them to maybe think that, it's just going to be heavy loading and it's going to be full of like cakes and things like that. I want to give this sort of understanding of how we actually go about programming, and it's not just like how many weights can we lift.
I mean, this is a system me and you and the team have developed for literally 10 years, is it not? Mm-hmm. So a client recently just came back to us and he sent me a really nice message after he had a break from Model Health for around 4 or 5 years. He came back and he said, "Kev, I can't believe how much the gym's changed, not just in its appearance, but how different the programming is now. But in a really good way. I'm really, really enjoying it." And I think back in the day, we mainly did focus on strength and conditioning, but as things have developed now, we have 2 programs in the gym. We have Dominate, which focuses on strength and conditioning, and we have Underground, which focuses on fitness and conditioning. Now, the way both programs work, me and we used to do training cycles of maybe 3-4 weeks on the same system. Over the years, that's developed now, and we change the systems every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, new program design, but it's periodized correctly. I mean, you spend a lot of time looking at the microcycles of that phase, don't we? Yeah, we split the year up so we understand, right, what is this this phase of training? Are we doing full body training? Are we doing a push-pull lower? Are we doing a split routine? What's going on? And then we break that longer phase down into mini microcycles of 2 weeks. And the reason being for that, what we've learned over the years is Model Health tends to attract a broad spectrum of clientele. We get a lot of new clients starting all the time, but without wanting to blow our own trumpet, I think for most people, when they come here, they really enjoy it, and we're very good at keeping our clients. So then that new client that might start in, the summer is still here next summer. So then they're actually becoming quite an advanced trainee. And the thing that the skill that we've had to acquire is, how can we program training systems which keep maybe the more advanced lifter stimulated, but keep a beginner, maybe more of a novice, an amateur lifter, how can we ease them into our style of training or programming? And that's why we change the systems every 2 weeks, because it allows flexibility for both. It will keep an advanced trainee like me and you, who've lifted for 20 years, very stimulated, both in terms of mind and muscle. But it also, I think, provides quite a new, boost stimulation for a new client coming in, because all of our lifts focus around compound lifts. So if you're new to lifting, to training, whatever it is, to fitness, you're going to be taught the basics, no matter which cycle you come into in our gym, because that's the fundamentals. But also, you might come into a training. A guy said to me yesterday, "Oh, Kev, I'm just not feeling this training. It's okay." And I went, "That's fine, man. You can't love every training system we put in, but know that there's always a method. There's a reason behind it. You have to do it because of it's planned in the way we program our systems, if you like." And I think building that philosophy allows us to train people through all of our systems comprise generally in the Dominate program of lower rep ranges, because we understand the importance of strength and conditioning. but that's always blended with some higher up work, right? So it's more of a hybrid system. And I think that's something that, I don't know about you, but I've certainly grown to love.
Well, I think that's what you've just said, love it, and be able to do it over a long period of time.
Sustainability.
Yeah. That's for me one of the most important factors, and probably the biggest reason that we've developed it so much over the years, seeing in that experience of like how we integrate people for, you know, every 2-week phases almost of new clients coming through the doors and being able to integrate them while also satisfying the long-term, you know, hardcore client as well. And if we think of it, let's say from the macro cycle, it's called periodization basically. We'll periodize a program throughout the course of a year to achieve basically a stimulus of specific compound lifts to be able to get the best out of a client, but in a way that they can do year after year without boredom.
Yeah, and without burning themselves out.
Yeah, because you've got to think of like, training can be boring if you do the same thing. And this is one of the reasons that so many people come to us. Kev, I'm bored of me training. I'm sick of doing the same thing in the same way all the time. I just don't feel anything from it anymore. I need something different. And the way that I try and program it, and you know, when we're doing it, is I want them to almost feel like they lose a limb when they leave. They're like, I can't get that same feeling anywhere else. That's a selfish point of view.
Totally.
I want my clients to be here year round, of course.
We are here to build a good business, but also create a training environment that can't be matched anywhere else, so that the guys who come here have the best experience that they can possibly have. So
satisfying stimulus is the first thing for me, being able to consistently have people sort of stimulated enough to want to continue the journey, because there's no program that's perfect, but what gets you close to perfect, even though it's not attainable, is the fact that you're being consistent enough to get progress. You can regress very quickly when you just dip in and out all the time. So the key is trying to get them over a year to stick to it. Yeah. That's the first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's about having fun. Then after that, it's actually enjoying the process. It's actually getting people to push harder. How do we do that? We mix them in groups. We put them together alongside like-minded people. But the problem that we had at the start was very much a case of how do we actually structure programs without being able to, without going into circuit type classes. That's something that me and you didn't want to go into. We didn't want to go where, because then I can't think how we're going to correct form as effectively. If I've got a bunch of people doing all different things, how can I actually dedicate time to saying, this is how you deadlift, this is how you...
I mean, circuit training's great, but you know, you shouldn't be doing it session after session, week after week, month after month, year after year, because it has some negative effects as well, doesn't it?
So the key for the first thing that got that started is we need more dumbbells so we can have more benches. So if we're doing dumbbell chest press, for example, we can have 4 people doing it while 4 people are resting, and there's 8 people. That's great, but again, we love strength and conditioning in an all-round basis. So what about all that pull down? What about a cable fly, a cable machine? What about leg press? And it's like, right, okay, so how do we integrate a well-structured program based on it? So remember when we had one of each, and we'd have, like, let's say supersetting 2 programs, gym and volume training as an example. So bench press and a leg press. And what we did was we said, right, me and you will be on the bench press. I'll do my 10 reps. And then you do your 10 reps. Then we'll swap, and then we'll be doing leg press. So we're alternating between 2 exercises. And let's say it's for 5 sets of each, and we're getting a stimulus of whole body training while at the same time lifting heavy. Great, there's a start. Then we were like, well, actually, if we're doing the bench press, that means the leg press is free. Well, why can't we make this more affordable for the client and have 2 people on the leg press machine, and then we alternate between the 2? And it's like, well, there's 4. And as a coach,
4 people can share the cost.
Yeah, and as a coach, I'm like, right, well, I can make sure that I'm showing the technique at the start, and then as the 5 sets are going and they're progressively overloading it, I'm able to easily assess that. I'm able to correct the form quite easily because there's only 2 exercises that I have to go. So I remember coming to you and I said, Kev, what if we had more leg presses, and what if we had more bench presses? And you were like, right, okay, but that costs a lot of money. I was like, well, yeah, no, but can you imagine from that standpoint, we would be able to, as a business model, we'd be able to earn more. Right, because we'll be able to share the price between them, so it's more affordable. And for me and you, what we always said was, I'd rather see someone more frequently than once a week. So people paying for a 1-to-1 in a week, once a week, would still cost more than being able to see them 3 or 4 times a week. And that was how we went down the route of saying, right, why don't we create a facility that costs way too much, but allows us to train people well structured. And we ended up with 4 leg presses, 4 bench presses, 4 cable basically. Yeah, 4 of everything. But it meant that we could train on just 2 exercises, 16 people, for example.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in the way that we wanted to structure our programming.
So,
and it meant that I'd have an environment, because one of the big things I noticed was over in America, especially the academies and the colleges and stuff like that, that's how they got the best out of each other, because it was always about the banter, the camaraderie of everything.
Yeah.
You know, they're enormous over there compared to obviously the UK. And that's something that they're very, very good at. And that's seen back in the day, because obviously we got coached off some American, you know, the gurus over that side, because we went over the waters to go and learn from proper strength and conditioning coaches. Yeah. And we got put in that environment where we seen that. And we were like, that's what we want. And obviously my background being in sports teams, that's something that I really thrived off. And I went, what if we could do that in a strength and conditioning sense?
I think
that's what it was.
I think one of the easiest way I describe it to any perspective my client want to come more health is we almost think about our program design as if we were training a one-to-one client. Mm-hmm. But we are very fortunate enough that we can program like that, but we have the level of equipment to scale that session for a small group of 8 people or even a large group of 24 people because of the way the facility is set up. Now, I do have a question for you, because I know for people listening to this, we're going to get this in the comments, and I get it, but what would you say to those people who say, Kev, 2 weeks, how does your body can't even learn the ropes by then, it can't adapt to that program? Why aren't you keeping that program? You know, all the science and research suggests you should be following the same workout program for 4 weeks, for 6 weeks, for 8 weeks. Yeah. What do you say to that feedback?
Yeah, in a sense that here's the benefit of someone who's doing maybe up to 6 weeks on the same program, right? A beginner, someone just starting out, they're gonna get benefits from that, because they're going to be having to start off small. It's going to be taking a few weeks for them just to get themselves conditioned enough to be able to start lifting properly. They've got to learn the form first. You know, they've got to have the technique. They've got to go through some postural issues that they may have to be able to get the best mind to muscle connection. Like we've talked about, you know, if there's shortened muscles in one area, the opposing muscles might not be able to get the squeeze. And they might not be able to get the connection mind to muscle that is needed to really get the stimulus of the muscles. So we've got to take that in consideration. But then you've got the more advanced people, you know, clients that have been with us for years. And, you know, it's said the more advanced you are, you could actually benefit from more frequent training. So there's got to get a balance of the two. So every 2 weeks, someone might, you're right. It might be a case of saying, well, that's too frequent for a very much beginner. But this is the beauty of the way that we program it. We do mesocycles. Think of a macro cycle in the course of a year, and we've got the mesocycles of like.
So let's say
every 6 weeks, for example. Yeah. Okay, so every 6 weeks to 8 weeks, we change the way that we'll program something, and that could be, for example, lower, push, and pull. So there's a push day, there's a pull day, and there's a lower day. Yeah. So every 6 weeks, we'll for 6 weeks we'll go into that. Yeah. Then 6 weeks later, the next mesocycle will be based around full bodied. Yeah. The next mesocycle might be built around split.
Agonist, antagonist, chest, back,
exactly.
Biceps, triceps.
So we're starting people off at the start of different mesocycles. And then what we're doing is we're keeping them compound lifts that we initially had and starting on maybe higher rep ranges in week 1 and 2. And then week 3 and 4, we're keeping them and going lower repetition ranges to help progress them through that overload.
So what you're saying is the way we program it here is in week 1 and 2, the key compounds might be squat, bench press, chin up. Those stay for week 3 and 4, but perhaps other elements of the workout change
Tempo,
to keep
time under tension, the rep ranges that get done.
That's how we navigate a new person coming in who needs time on those lifts, but also keep the more advanced trainee stimulated. Yeah, I think the other one key thing that I've learned over the years from training people is the reason why I love our system now, the 2 week changes, is it just carries on building momentum for people. No matter what stage you're at in your fitness or your strength and conditioning or your journey for fat loss or gaining size, it just keeps on building and growing. And I think that's fantastic. I think clients really appreciate that.
Yeah, because we're not trying to get them to be in sports performance
we're
specifically.
We're average guys, aren't we? We're average guys and girls.
We're just training people like ourselves.
Kids,
that's it. kids,
businesses,
stresses,
mortgages,
all these sort of things that we have to overcome and thing. We're not going down any specific route.
If we had a strength athlete who was coming here, we might train them differently. A professional athlete who was a powerlifter about to training the Olympics, sure, I would train them differently, but that's not our core clientele.
Yeah, and then I remember I said macro cycles, the mesocycles of every 6 weeks, but then the micro cycles of every 2 weeks. We're keeping them compound lifts through the 6 weeks, but what we're then changing is maybe the second half of the workout where it's more the isometrics that might get put within them. Yeah. So them are more frequent because they're not as much required to build the body the way that we need, but clients love them because of the burn that they can give and things like that. So there's the micro cycle of it, and we'll change the way that we do it. So for example, I love DAS, which is delayed advantageous stress sets. Yeah. And it's like 18 reps in 3 different ways. Now, without showing the exercises, there's no point even talking about it, but it's a great one to get to do every 2 week phases. Whereas GVT, we might do that over a longer period of time than 5x5. These are the compound kind of work that we would do. So there's a science behind everything that we do here, but in a way, it's a client is literally just coming in the doors. They're having a great workout. Everything's done for them. It's written on the board. The coach is going to take them through it at the beginning to show them what to do. They're going to pair up with someone that they love training with, and they're going to be working alongside the other guys to get the best out of the session. Then it's up to us as coaches to bring that energy, that passion, that enthusiasm to spark them coming into the workout, maybe not feeling it, to leave and go, what a workout I've just had. I can't wait to come back again.
And we call that the health experience.
Yeah.
Guys, if you like that video, please check out more content from us on our YouTube channel. Now, so you don't miss anything, remember to like, subscribe, and click that bell so you receive all the notifications.